Yo, you guys up for the Super Steel rap? We're gonna be rapping through our favorite Super Steels. How many can you name? I want to be the best that ever was, to test all the steels, yeah, that matters. ZDP, PSFS 30V, M4X45, SG2, Vanitas, 4E, CPS, XHP, S35V, and 20C, VV, Token 2, Maximet. Gotta test them all, Super Steels! A11 4VS 110 VS 90V, M390 Rex 121, LC 200M, and our steel wrap is done.
Hello there. We are looking today at Elmax. This is a pretty well regarded steel that doesn't get too much of a look in these days. It seems to have, I don't know, almost been relegated to largely a fixed blade steel from what I can tell. Not a huge amount of folders made in it. ZT used to do a couple of knives in Elmax back in the early 2010s, but there was some, this is before I was doing any of this, there was some controversy about the heat treat or something. Had a bit of a bad name for a while, but the ingredients present indicate that it should and could do very, very well. Elmax, you're basically looking at a steel with a little bit more carbon, but a little bit less vanadium than S30V. So again, depending on the Rockwell hardness, you're looking at similar-ish performance on paper. In my previous tests, I've got better results in Elmax than in the S30 and S35VN steels, whether that's due to heat treat or composition or a bit of both. I don't know. It always seemed to me as a bit of a bridging steel between S35VN and M390 in terms of how long the edge is going to last. But again, so much comes down to geometries and heat treats. But the cool thing about this Mule project is that I've been able to use the same knife pattern basically with the same edge and cut over and over again. An interesting thing to compare this to would be the RWL34 that I've done in the last of these Mule tests, which was 475. That was a result that really surprised me. It almost seemed a bit too high. Maybe that RWL is a little bit harder than I would expect it to be run at. So that was a particularly good result. And also the S30V in my Spyderco amalgam cut 425 times through a rope with a 17-degree mirror polished edge. That being said, it was a different blade shape and profile to this one, so probably not as absolutely comparable as all these Mule results, I would argue, probably are. So anyway, that's about the ballpark that I'm expecting. However, that got a little bit altered by me looking up the Rockwell that they're running at this. These mules, according to a lot of folks who have had theirs tested, are about the 59 Rockwell mark, 58 to 59. So you're thinking that 52-100 steel that I tested, I think first of these mules, that was at 62, I think. So Rockwell is a massive thing with edge retention, especially against fibrous materials. It really is contributing to the edge not rolling over and therefore dulling. So, really interested to see how this Elmax goes. I have a pretty high regard for this steel, but it's got a bit of clouds in its past. It definitely has also been moved away from in terms of your mass production knives. That being said, I'm sure there's still some custom makers that swear by it. And in the heat treats that I've had of it, one was a zero tolerance knife, another was a swamp rat knife. The edges have lasted really well. So let's see how the Mule series handles this Elmax, shall we? Let's get to it. Oh, if you're new to these tests, which you're probably not, but if you are, I cut twisted sisal rope with a mirror polished 17-degree per side edge done with a KME down to the 1 micron until it obviously slices paper really well. And we're going to cut the rope until it no longer does that. So that's what we're doing here. The amount of rope cuts made is a score assigned, and there we are. We go from there, and that's how we compare all these steels. So let's get into it. 475 cuts, which I find it's a good result. More impressive though is that the RWL34 cut for the same amount, and it felt very similar, the process and everything. 450 was a little bit rough, tearing a little bit, catching even slightly, give it 25 more, and it was spent. So again, both of these knives still exceedingly sharp, I reckon. Alright, it doesn't quite shave hair, but it's still, you know, very much a great working edge. But I'm going to put this down to heat treat. I reckon this is probably a bit softer than the RWL34 because you look at the ingredients present, and what I know about steel should mean that this should cut longer if it was at the same hardness. But I don't have a Rockwell tester, so we're just going to have to speculate on that one at the moment, and please don't. Someone suggested giving me a Rockwell testing machine. Please don't. I'd be horribly embarrassed to accept something like that, so like honestly don't. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. I'm just going to have to speculate on it. That I couldn't find an RWL hardness on the forums or anywhere, that's all. So I kind of have to speculate. Maybe that's at 60 and maybe this is at 58 or something similar. Because this is a great steel recipe. RWL is a fine steel recipe, but I think it's one of those more down to probably being the kind of steel recipe that operates perfectly with a high polished edge. Vanadium carbides maybe do with a bit, you know, slight edge of coarseness to them, you know. All speculation from there. All I can present to you, my friends, is the raw data from my cut tests. 475, still a really excellent result. Even if you have a knife in Elmax at a softer steel, provided it's treated correctly, you know, and it's not ridiculously soft, is still going to cut for a good long time. 475 cuts is great edge retention, especially against such nasty stuff as twisted sisal rope. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. Elmax steel gets the thumbs up. All these steels get the thumbs up. Another thing, sisal went in the old mouth. One thing I do hope I don't come across as is too much of a steel snob. I'm very interested, but I am more so as the years go on. Every steel has its place. Even the humble Victorinox steel is excellent for what it's doing. As long as the steel is in the right application, even your 8CR13 MOVs are totally fine. As long as you're not paying, you know, over $100 for it, or so, you know, or it's been put in a knife that's designed to cut rope for, you know, ages. It's all relative, you know. But this one is another great steel, as they have all been so far. Anyway, enough talking out of me. You don't watch it for my talking, you watch it for the results. See you all in the next video. I think I'm going to be doing PD1 next, if I'm remembering correctly, the poll that I put in the top corner. So thanks for watching the Knife Lab. We'll see you next one, guys. Does strop back. Great success. Also, thanks much to Daniel for sending me 2 more mules to test and then send back, of course. I'm not a freebies channel. CPM S90V and CPM M4 should be interesting tests to say the least. So you can definitely see that M4 is not a stainless steel. That's a bit of free Knife Lab science for you right there. Anyway, guys, see you in the next video.